Here we are live, live for us, recorded for everyone else. This is Brad with Paintball Therapy, and I'm here with Marcus Davis from the Preds, the UK Predators. Again, we're doing a weekly show now where it's a question and answer with Marcus and Kevin. Kevin should be joining us shortly. So welcome, Marcus. How are you, brother?
Hello, bro. Yeah, really, really good, mate. Looking forward to answering some questions. And obviously, if any of you guys out there listening to the show, what me and Kevin turned around and said, ask us anything you want, no matter how controversial it is. We take no prisoners, right? And me certainly, I will give you the most honest answer I possibly can. And if it upsets some people, well, tough. You know, Johan.
Yes.
Hello, brother.
Hi, man.
This is Johan Strampraat. He's my vice captain in the team. He's my right-hand man.
Welcome.
And, he's welcome to the show, Johan.
All right. Yeah, well, fine you have me.
Yeah, we got you. No. Can't hear you properly, mate.
Yeah, it's working.
Good.
Okay. Brad, you far away, mate.
Yes. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to start off with the question and answers that we've had so far. And I will start out with this one. This is from Stephen Blair in California. He said he wanted me to ask if it would be a good idea about having the fields not be played on until the day of the tournament.
Well, to be honest with you, I think what we tend to do in the UK, which is a good idea, in the mornings, in the qualifiers, right, you play one set of fields in the morning, and then obviously after the qualifiers are played, you reseed it. So the top, say 4 teams or 8 teams or 12 teams, depending on how many teams are actually playing the event, go through to the finals, right? And the other teams that don't make the finals then go through to the semi-finals. So what you do then, the fields that you didn't play in the morning, you play in the afternoon. So when you think about it, you're going to play the actual fields, and the ends are determined already prior to you playing. So theoretically, you will play the same fields from the same ends twice on each field, which I think is the fairest way, because sometimes, and I think Johan will agree with this, certain fields suit certain teams. We've won on fields that other teams don't like, right? And obviously it depends also on the actual, I would turn around and say, the athletic abilities of the players. Some players are slow, some players are fast. So if you have one field that might have a key barricade, and you've got some guys in the team that are quite athletic, they are going to prefer that in. But if the team is not that athletic, they're going to prefer a more defensive end. So I think that's the fairest way, to be honest with you. But when you talk about field design as well, I think Woodsball fields have had a tendency recently, since I've come back into playing competitive Woodsball, the fields seem to be getting smaller and smaller. And for me, a Woodsball field should be big enough that you can't see players on the breakout.
Yeah, exactly.
And you certainly can't shoot from one tape to the other. You should, on a real, true Woodsball field, you shouldn't get hit on the breakout. You should have to be able to run to your barricades, get in position, right? And then the game unfolds. If you're getting hit on the breakout, you're not playing a Woodsball field. You're playing speedball in the woods.
Yeah,
you agree with that, Gary?
Yeah.
Right.
Big fields, with lots of natural cover. That's perfectly for 10-man, 5-man, 7-man game. But if you see the opposite, you turn your gun and you can shoot them. That's no fun.
Right.
That's no fun.
Yep. And I would agree with you both on that, especially in the Woodsball. And, there's people that would disagree that they want kind of a speedball in the woods, and that's fine. There's a place for that, but the woods ball that we're talking about has those measurements.
Well,
Yeah,
to
so
be
you
honest with
put a
you,
little bit of time and effort in preparing the field.
yeah.
Then you get so much more customers with that. Only by building a field, that's quality, and
Mhm.
people come for that.
To
100%.
me, I think the thing with it is, it's like, I think we touched on this before on a previous show. When you've got really, really small fields, right, all you're really doing, you're replacing inflatable barricades you're replacing inflatable bunkers with barricades instead. So you're not playing Woodsball.
Right.
You're playing a watered down version of airball in the woods.
Yep.
Right. And for me, as I said, I've come back. I want to play. Me personally, I want to play Woodsball. Right. And
Right.
that's what I pay my money for, to go. When a tournament is advertised as a Woodsball event, it should be Woodsball fields.
Yep.
And I think that most of the teams that want to play Woodsball would all agree that the fields need to be, there needs to be some key factors on the fields, like I
Right.
turned around and said, that you can't get hit on the breakout, right? And also you can't shoot from one boundary take to the other.
Yep.
And I think that is, if you was to implement those simple rules, right, that you can't, it makes the game not a game that relies on firepower and gun skills. It relies on a game of Woodsball.
Yep.
And as I said, if you want to play a game that relies on gun skills and firepower, then play airball or play hyperball.
Yep.
Woodsball is a completely different concept.
Yes.
And what I think's been happening recently is everything is getting sort of, it's all becoming one.
Mm-hmm.
There's no separation. You've got airball, hyperball, concept fields, Woodsball, and it all seems to be melting down, and it all seems to be the same, and it's not.
Right.
It's different formats. It's all paintball, right? But it's different formats, and I think what we need to do, we need to respect that certain aspects of paintball are played in a certain way, right? And I think if we was to implement that, and players know what they're paying for, there can't be nothing more frustrating for a Woodsball team to go to play a Woodsball event and they turn up and they're not Woodsball fields.
Right.
Right. Or the same as if, can you imagine going to an airball event, right? And you go there and the field is now 5 times bigger than what it would normally be. Right?
Right.
And they can't shoot each other on the breakout, and they can't shoot from one side of the field to the other. Can you imagine what the airball players would do? They
Melt down, I'm
sure.
sure.
They wouldn't like it very much.
No.
Right?
No.
Because that's not what they're used to playing on.
Right.
So why do you do that why do you do that to a Woodsball field then? Give the Woodsball players what they want, give the hyperball players what they want, and give the airball players what they want. I think personally, I think there's a lot of field organisers are trying to earn. Now that you've had a sort of like a second coming, let's say, of paintball, Woodsball, etc., you've got a lot of guys out there now. I see some of these event organisers are getting greedy again. They're trying to cram as much in as possible.
Right.
Get as many teams squeezed in over the 2 days. So what's the best way to earn money? Make the field smaller, make the game time shorter.
Yeah.
Right? So
Crank more games.
It's like a conveyor belt.
Yep.
One in, one out. And that's what they do at airball. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, I'm sure it did. Johan, did you have anything to add to that?
No, it probably works that way. But and for people that want to play that, go ahead. It's not
Right.
Marcus and myself or everybody is paintball, but we are. Yeah, I play the formats. I play also the Sub Air, and I play Woodsball.
Can't hear you, Johan.
Sorry about that, mate.
That's it. Say it again, mate.
All right. So for myself, I also play the Sub Air kind of thing of paintball, and I like it. But the thing is, if I have to choose, I would choose the Woodsball. Why? Because it's more interesting. It's more of a game. You have more of a game. You have more game time. You have
Yes.
more paintball for your money, and everybody can play in the woods. If
Yes.
you're like really big or really small, fast or slow or good, you're just starting into the sport. You can have a go. And if you do that on a sub airfield, I don't think you get the chance. And you don't want to send your kids to a field where they have ramping guns and everything and shoot the crap out of your kids, and then they don't want to go in the sport.
Right.
That kills the sport.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong. I like paintball for everything that it gives, but certain things
aren't for everyone.
No, exactly.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like I when off many years ago when you first had arena ball. We was the England was the first people to do arena ball.
Yep.
And we won it 3 years on the trot, and we loved playing arena ball. And then after that, arena ball changed. It went to hyperball, and we won that. And then it went to sub air, and we won at that as well. And I've played all the different.
Right.
I played all the different sort of formats.
Then the ramping came.
Yeah, and I enjoy all the different formats, right? But as I said, my preferred format is Woodsball, right? I keep on saying this. I have nothing against anybody else that plays a different format, right? And some of these guys, the way they practice and what they do is amazing. They're athletes,
right?
Some of the airball players, right? They're incredible. So they go out and they train as professional athletes. Right, and if I had the resources that those guys do, I would train the UK Predators the same way.
Right.
Right, but we don't have. We are not privileged enough to have those sort of facilities. But as I said, it's each to their own.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then another question that came in from Joe in Florida is. What are you looking for when you walk a field before a tournament? Describe your approach to preparing for each Woodsball field, if you can be like a general overview.
I'll let Johan answer this one first, and I'll talk after.
Perfect.
No, what I look for when I come on the field, I look always from tape to tape and see what key barricades are, and I will walk a big circle on the field, and then I will go back to the starting gate from each side, and I walk it again through the middle, see what key barricades are, and I will notice them pretty fast because of the experience.
Yeah.
And from there I will make tactics, game plans. And that I will do with the team, of course. But first, I do it on myself a little bit.
Yep.
And Mark is always just nagging on my ass. Oh, do you know something? Oh, do we do this, do that? No, I'm still busy, still working it out.
Right.
Yeah. So that's how we work a little bit. And then field walking with the Predators is always a day job. It's always a lot of work because we get every detail out of the field, what we can use. So yeah.
Do you know? I think the thing of it is, it really, when you look at a paintball field, every team looks at a paintball field differently because every team's attributes are different to another's.
Correct.
Some teams have more fast players and younger players. Some teams have a lot of older guys that can't run. So every field is played differently up until a degree by certain teams.
Right? Yeah. Well, and there are teams that don't take time.
Right, but for me, I'll give you an example. If we go and play the Woodland Masters event, right, it's a one-day event which is played on the Sunday. All the UK Predators are all at the site on a Saturday, 11 o'clock, and we are still there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, walking 4, maybe 2 fields.
Yep.
We spend, because the thing with it is, it's a little bit, as I said, it's like an analogy with boxing. If you don't do the training, you lose. You
Right.
have to go there. And the thing with it is, when it comes to walking the fields, it depends also as well. It's right. The UK Predators are our style of paintball is like an American team. We go out and we win our games by merit. We
Yep.
go forward and we attack other teams, and we play the same style of paintball as an American team. Right? So the way we look at a paintball field, we're looking at aggressively how to move up the field and how to shoot and use angles. Right? Where more defensive teams look at the field completely differently to what we do. Right? But one thing that we do a lot, we go into the field. First of all, we walk into the field and we stand up and we look at the fields. And most guys think that's it. Right? But you don't play paintball standing up.
Correct.
Most of the time, you're down low and you're on your knees and you're crouching. So then
Correct.
we look at the field closer to the floor.
Yep.
Then what we do, we look at the blind shots. Right? Because most of the time, a lot of paintball players get tunnel vision. They either look in front of them or they look to the side. We're always looking for the shots that players cannot see. We're looking a lot of the times when the Predators play, and I learnt this off of Bob Long, right? When we first went to America and played the Ironman years ago, right, we was getting shot by guys we couldn't see. We thought, Jesus, where did that come from? How did they shoot us out? And I worked it out what Bob Long was doing.
Yep.
Right? And Bob Long would go into the field. He'd look for those barricades and the angles where you could shoot players, right? And you didn't see the player.
Correct.
Right. So one of my players, if I'm on the left hand tape, right, one of my players would call. We use certain code words for certain barricades. Say for example, we'd say alpha. Alpha would be a barricade on the right hand tape, what most people make on the breakout, and you have to eliminate their players from there to be able to move forward. Right. So if I'm on the left hand tape, I cannot see that barricade.
Right.
But I can reach it.
Yes.
With my paintballs. So
Absolutely.
what I will do, I will look for a marker. I will look for a marker tree. Right? So then what I will do then, when Johan says to me, mute, fire, shoot alpha. I now start firing towards that barricade. I can't see the other player.
Right.
But a lot of the times we eliminate players through blind shooting.
Yep.
And that is how the Predators win a lot of their games.
Yes.
Right? Because we shoot a lot of players out and go, how did you shoot us? Because what we've done, we look at the game completely differently.
Yes.
Than what a lot of other teams do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that you only can get that with hard work.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes if you walk fields, it's bloody hot, and everybody's taking a drink, and we are still walking fields.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard, but the job is to be done to get a good result the next day.
Yep. What we do, we go onto the field and we will look at a barricade, and let's say, for example, on a barricade, there might be, I don't know, some paint on a barricade or a certain log. And I know that if I shoot at that log 4 foot above that log, that's directly in line where one of their players will probably be on another barricade.
Right.
But you can only see this if you spend time on the field doing it.
Right.
The difference between when you the better you become, the closer the gap becomes between winning and losing.
Yes.
And all those little advantages that you give yourself is the difference between winning and losing a game.
Wow. That it's so true. It's so true. And I learned that at a young age when I attended a Bob Long Rennick Miller clinic where they stressed the importance of blind shooting, and that's really a skill that's lost a lot on today's newer players because they haven't evolved and gotten to that point.
What we do as well a lot. See, a lot of guys, right? Most paintball teams, they break out and they stay still, and their tunnel vision, they just go forwards.
Right.
Right. We are always the predators are like this. They're always moving.
Yep.
If you play static paintball, right, it's very, very easy to defend against, and it's very, very easy to attack.
Mm-hmm.
If you play against a team that's fluid and they're moving all the time,
right,
you don't really know what you. Obviously, it's dependent on the field that you play on, right? But a lot of the times as well, a lot of paintball teams, they move into a position and they're getting shot, and a guy's nearly hit them.
Yep.
And they can't see where the paint's coming from. Now, what most paintball players do, they're like a rabbit that's been startled in a light.
Right.
They stay there.
Right.
The guy's nearly shot you, and they stay there.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I teach my guys, if somebody's shooting at you and you can't see where the paint's coming from, get the fuck out of there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Run backwards.
Leave.
Because you can always come forward again or
right.
move to somewhere else.
Right.
And what it does, when paintball players become, they get fidgety. If they haven't got something to do, they haven't got something to shoot at, they start moving. Right?
Yes.
A paintball player is only effective if he's got a target to shoot at.
Yep.
Do you agree with that?
I can definitely see that angle, yes.
Right. So, if a player's shooting at you and he's nearly hit you, the best thing to do most of the time, not all of the time,
run
is to run and get out of there.
Right.
Now, first of all, that keeps you in the game. What it does, it now takes him out of the game.
Correct.
So what happens? He thinks, I need another target to shoot at. So he moves. By him moving, might enable one of my other players to shoot him.
Shoot him. Yep.
But what happens then, if one of my other players starts shooting him, the guy that ran backwards can now move forwards again.
Right. Exactly right where he went. Yep.
And the game is an evolved. The game is, for me, when you're playing paintball and you're walking the fields, it's like playing a game of chess, an aggressive game of chess.
Right.
And it's about outmaneuvering the other player and moving to counter, to out-position the other team. All right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That makes complete sense.
Yeah.
It's what, as I said, a lot of this is what you're getting into now. This is Woodsball.
Yes.
This is the tactical side. This is why I love Woodsball. If I want to sprint and I want to play a fast game, then I'm going to play hyperball and I'm going to play airball. But if I want to play a more tactical game, that's why I enjoy playing Woodsball, because it's a more tactical game.
I love watching it, and it is, I've described it many times as a live game of chess where people are constantly moving and adjusting and making adjustments. And it's masterful to see when great players do that.
Yeah. When we used to play against Aftershock, Iron Men, All Americans, Rage, Avalanche, when we played against them guys, it was like the game was an aggressive game that ebbed and flowed.
Right. Yes. And a give and take, a sparring match, a prize fight, if you will.
Exactly. Right.
Yep.
And it was like we could have broke the right hand tape. They could have broke the left hand tape.
Right.
Right.
And you just end up right back where you were.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's all that. But that also is getting back to the fields being bigger.
Correct.
If the field is too small, you can break the right hand tape, but the players can still shoot the guys on the left hand tape.
Yep.
If the field's bigger, it enables that sort of counter push. There's many times that the UK Predators have played, right? And I think we played against the Ironmen once. With the Ironmen, we played against the Ironmen. I think I lost, within the first 2 minutes, I lost 2 or 3 players on the right hand tape.
Right.
right? And I knew the only way we was going to win this game is we've got to get hold of our balls and
Right.
push the left-hand tape and break their left-hand tape.
Yeah.
Which we did, right? And we broke the left-hand tape as they broke our right-hand tape,
Right.
right? And I think the game went down to one player on the field, and I can't remember if they won or we won, but that was how exciting the games was because the field allowed you to do that.
Right.
But you couldn't play that game if the field was too small.
That's true. It's true. Now, Marcus, I just want to bring it to your attention that although we did start the conversation, it was a beautiful sunset. Your room has gotten a little bit dark.
Okay.
So
how's that?
That's perfect. That's perfect.
What?
No,
Yeah.
no, either way is perfect. It's fantastic.
Okay. We'll go the other way.
Yep, whichever way works for you.
I know what it is. You just want me to show off that I've had a shave. Look, I ain't got a beard no more.
Right. all cleaned and polished. Yeah. Now this
is a coronavirus beard. This. You know what the funny thing is? Johan he's been on at me for 5 years to shave my beard off.
Exactly.
It drove me crazy to shave my beard off, right?
It's a horrible sight when you see the beard come underneath the mask. And I think I like him better like this because, it's more fresh.
Right.
He plays better paintball with this face. 100%.
The only thing that it is, it makes my nose look bigger.
That's under the mask.
It's under the mask. Yes. You gotta love those push masks.
Yeah,
so there was another question. It was said that you could talk for an hour on the difficulty of getting the whole team to the field the day before a tournament. That's half the battle, actually over half the battle.
Yeah.
Walking the field as a team and keeping everyone engaged. How do you do that?
Well, this is very simple. Be there or you sit.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And all of them are there because all of them want to play paintball for the Predators.
Yeah.
That's how a band of brothers we are.
Right.
I think the thing with it is Johan, I tell you, I'm so laid back and easy going. I'm horizontal sometimes, right? And I'm a laugh and I'm a giggle, and we all take the piss out of each other, and we like a joke.
Right.
But when it comes to game time, right, nobody in the team is above the team rules.
Right.
Right. You could have been with me for a year. You could be with me for 30 years. If you don't abide by the rules, you don't play.
Right.
Right, and Johan will tell you this, and that even goes for me. It's something, right? There's certain rules. If you don't walk the fields, right, and you don't do what you're told, right, you be simple. You sit or you go home.
Right.
With the team, and Johan, I tell you, me and Johan is my number 2, right? But when I go on the field and I talk, right, everybody listens and they do what they're told. When I say to them, right, what do you think, guys? Then they put their input in.
Right.
And what I will do is Johan and Barty's Johan's my number 2, Barty's my number 3, right? What I will do, I will go and talk to them guys and I go, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And they might have, their idea might be better than mine. It might not be better than mine. But then I will go, okay, we're doing this, we're doing that. The guys in the team, any team captain, right? You can't have a team full of team captains.
Right.
Somebody has to be in charge, and somebody has to tell them what to do. And in the Predators, right, there's one boss, and that's me.
Yep.
Because you can't have a democracy in a paintball team. You've either got to have a dictatorship up until a degree, right? A fair dictatorship,
right?
But somebody has to be in charge, because otherwise the paintball team descends into anarchy and nothing gets done. No. People go onto the field and they haven't got one player wants to do this, one player wants to do that. There has to be direction. Yep. You look at the best American football teams, baseball teams, football teams, any any team sport that's played, there's all the best teams in the world have a strong manager and a strong captain.
Yeah,
And
that's
the
that
guys-
quarterback. That's the
Or
boss, right?
quarterback, but yes, it's usually the quarterback's the leader, but the analogy fits absolutely.
Right, and that's what I'm saying to you. The thing with this is when my guys, the other thing with it is as well, there's certain what's the word I'm looking for, Mark? There's certain things that have to be done. Everybody knows in the team, when any new player comes in the team, right, everybody knows that when we play an event, you have to be there the day before to walk the fields. Right?
Yeah.
If you
There's
don't
always
do
an
that,
exception. There's always an exception, but
but most of the time. So if one
Right.
of my players phones me up and says, Mark, I can't make it because I'm working or something's happened out of my control, then that's fine.
He's there at sunrise the next day
Yes.
if he wants to play.
Yeah.
exactly.
But to be honest with you, and Johan will tell you this, right? If I've got 11 players and 11 or 12 players, and everybody is roughly the same sort of capabilities, I'm less inclined to play the player that doesn't know the fields as well in the more important games.
Right.
Right? Because it's a lot of these guys when they turn up to look at the paintball fields, right? They turn up in the morning. The game starts at 9 o'clock. They're there at 7 o'clock in the morning. They go and they have a look at the fields at 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Right.
They only look at them for 10 minutes and then they wonder why they lose.
Right. Right. It's true. And that's the classic events that I played when we were very, very good. We would honestly walk the field for 3 to 4 hours, chew on it for a little bit, and maybe even come back if there were uncertain points. Now, in the classic format, you're lucky to get a team. They do exactly what you say. They walk out to the field, look, go, yep, I think I should play here, and then go on to the next field. To me, how you do it is the only way to do it. The only way to do it.
The thing is, though, this gets back to the same. We're going to keep going back to the first question, the first thing I was talking about. If the fields are really, really small, right, they don't need that much input.
Yep.
Right, so everything, as I turned around and said, is a watered down version of the real thing.
Yep. It's
right?
true.
If you have bigger fields, the teams can't go there and go, okay, this is the thing. When you play on a smaller field, you're only using half of your paintball brain, right? Taken out of context, because you don't have to use it because it's easy because your eyes can see everything.
Yep.
When you play on a bigger field, you have to engage the whole of your paintball brain because you're playing on a bigger field.
It's true. It's true. So true. And now, one of the things that's always fascinated me is going back to the old style of pump and your guys' passion for the pumps, because you guys kept playing pump when most people were switching to semis because your game was that much more advanced.
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with the Sterling pumps that you used. Did you really find at that point in time that you were outgunned, or it was just game plan and how you play?
To be honest with you, right, when we played in in Nashville, when we played the World 5-man tournament there, everybody was all using semis, and we was using pump guns. But to be honest with you, our Sterlings were set up so well, right? What you have to appreciate, for a paintball gun at that time, our Sterlings were probably the same as a Ferrari or a McLaren's racing car that was tuned to the best you could possibly get a pump gun to run.
It's so true.
Right?
So true.
They couldn't be any better.
Right.
And in comparison, a lot of the semi-autos that they had, they was the first generation semis. They wasn't wasn't as refined as what they are now. They used
You're
to
right.
break paint.
Yep.
They used to run out of air. They used to break down. They wasn't very accurate. So,
CO2.
CO2, exactly.
Yeah.
CO2.
Right. So they, like Johan said, they had CO2. So the nature of CO2, the quicker you shoot CO2, your bottle freezes.
Yep.
Right. So you're playing against us with Sterlings that run on liquid CO2.
Right.
In the initial gunfight on the first 30 seconds, a lot of the American guys that we're playing, right, they can't reach us now because their bottles are frozen. They can't fire their guns anymore.
Right.
Right. So we knew this, but also I'm a realist as well. I know when technology comes along, me
Right.
being the person I am, I look at something and think, you know what, we need to sort of adopt this, jump on the bandwagon here because we're going to get left behind. Right? There's, as much as I enjoyed playing with the pump guns, there's no way we could have gone and competed against the American teams if the semi-automatic guns had been as refined as
Right.
our pump guns was.
Right.
Right? So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yes, it really does. It was basically what my whole theory behind it is that there was skill, there was science behind the decision, and that's true because you're right. A lot of those earlier guns, the Tipmans would frost up the PMIs, even the auto mags, if you shot them a bunch and got liquid in it, you couldn't get a ball out.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting on that topic of how things happen.
What happened as well, what you've got to appreciate with it is I was the gunsmith at the time and I used to work on all the team guns. Right? Our guns, because they used to run on liquid CO2, not vapor CO2, the shots were very, very consistent. Our guns would be shooting 290, 295, 288, 292. Every shot we fired, we was getting maximum range with them.
Right.
When we played against the American teams, at the time with their new semi-autos, they wasn't getting the same sort of consistency of shot that we would.
Right.
Right. And if they had a protracted gunfight with us, right,
it was over.
After a little while, they couldn't fire back because their guns had frozen.
Right. The tanks chill and the operating pressure goes down. If the operating pressure goes down, they certainly can't go as far. And there's your science behind it.
Yeah. And as I said, that was the reason why. But also as well, what you have to appreciate at the time, the UK has always been, not so much now with gun technology, because obviously Leeds, Planet Eclipse is an English company, right? But back in those days, all the guns, with the exception of the Sterling, come from America.
Right.
Most of it, right? And anything new that the American teams got, the English teams didn't get in any great numbers for at least 6 months after.
Right.
Right. So the Americans always had a sort of a lead time before we did. So even if we'd have wanted to use semis, right, we probably wouldn't have been able to get them, right, or a team sponsorship deal because we was heavily sponsored by Sterling. Dave Galsworthy used to sponsor the team, and I used to work for Dave Galsworthy as well at the time.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Now, another question that was out there from people what was the first gun semi-auto after the shift?
My first, John Soster was a personal friend of mine. And John Soster and Jackie Soster, Howard Colby, Air America, all together. Very, very good friends of mine, right? And when John Soster had been playing with automags in the UK for a couple of years prior to them becoming popular. Because the biggest problem with the automag wasn't the gun design, it was the propellant that used to shoot it.
Yep.
So it was because it just shot CO2. In the winter, you couldn't use it.
Right.
And you couldn't sustain any amount of firepower, right? But what happened after that, once they went onto air, right? Then everything changed. The UK Predators, if I remember correctly, our first semi-auto that we used, we did play around with a few different guns,
Right. I
right?
assume.
Yeah, we played around with a few different formats and stuff, but there was nothing out there at the time that really works. And as I said, John Soster also as well. He's a very very good personal friend of mine, and John Soster was also our gunsmith. So when we come to America to play in the World Cup, most of the American teams was all using at the time autocockers,
Right.
right? And we was using automates because we were sponsored by Tom Kay.
Yep.
So our first real semi-auto was an automate, which we used quite successfully because we had like what we tended to find, a lot of the guys at the time that shot autocockers fired a burst of shots as opposed to a couple of shots. We used to double tap. We go ba-bang, ba-bang, ba-bang.
Yep.
The autococker guys, they'd be like a bit like a sewing machine. They would shoot a lot more paint than what we did.
Right.
Right. So it was a different way of playing. I think at the time, we relied more on the accuracy of our shooting than the amount of volume of paint that you shot, and there was a bit of a difference between the two styles.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And paint prices played into that way back then because paint was exponentially more expensive than it is now. So
I think after that, one of the things we did find when we played against, especially the Ironman and Aftershock, all those guys, right? I can't remember what. I think at the time the All A's was using a mixture of guns. They was autococks, a few autocockers, and automags. I can't remember. And there was a couple of other guns they played with. But I know when we played against the Ironman and Aftershock, they was predominantly all autocockers. And what we found at the time was that guys using autocockers, they could shoot so much more paint than what we could.
Right.
Right. So we then. Keith Belsey approached us. I tried out an autococker, and we was the only team in the world, I think, ever to be sponsored by both manufacturers. We were sponsored by Airgun Designs and by Autococker.
Yep.
For a season, and then there was a bit of a conflict of interest, and we was then asked what camp we wanted to go in, right? And we chose then to go with the autocockers.
And was that about the era when the first Predator autococker was introduced?
I think it was probably about a year after. I think it was about because Keith Belsey made us some pre-Predator Signature Series guns.
Yep.
And then me and Keith sat down because every paintball team wants their own Signature Series gun.
Right.
Right. And at the time, we was the first non-American team to actually have a proper Signature Series, not a gun that they put, not just a gun that has their name point. They made it for us.
Right, exactly. It had your style.
Yeah, and that was the birth of the iconic Predator Signature Series autocockers with a Predator head on it.
Correct. And it's one of the most collectible autocockers ever is the Predator series, the original Predator series autocockers.
Yeah. You know, go on, sorry, Brad.
Oh, no, that speaks volumes just right there.
Yeah, well, Bud Orr is still a personal friend of mine. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know, there's something, to be honest with you, I'm going to be honest with you, I love my automags, and Tom Kay's a friend of mine as well, and I'll always be grateful for what he did for the team. But there's something magical about shooting an autococker.
I agree.
When you get an autococker singing, right? They sing.
Right.
Right. When you get that rhythm of shooting an autococker, it's almost mesmerising. You don't want to stop shooting when you should do. And any guy out there that's a cocker player knows what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, and they was really, really good. They was a good marker for us. We won a lot of events, and we done very, very well with them.
I think we got some slow unveiling going on here.
Oh, what's he got? Oh, look.
Yep.
That's the Deception one. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I mean that's another segue into that, your relationship with Simon.
Yeah. Well, Simon, again, I met Simon many, many years ago, and he was a personal friend of John Soster's.
Okay.
And Simon and John Soster done some stuff together, right? And I knew Simon quite well. And then what Simon done, he contacted Johan and said, what would you guys think about doing a Predator Signature Series autococker?
Right.
And we said, yeah, that'd be good, as long as it pays sort of respect to the original design.
Absolutely.
And Simon made a few different prototypes, and we said, no, not quite happy with that yet. And all of a sudden he said, what do you think it is? And we went, yeah, we like that. So we then said to him, okay, yeah, we're happy to put the Predator logo and the name on it. And then Simon made the first Predator Signature Series section autocockers.
Right.
Which we played with, right? Which a lot of people don't know this. At that time in the UK, right, all the Woodsball was being played at 10.5 ramping on very small, very very small fields.
Yeah.
Right? And we used to have either one or two guys in the team. So we had 2 5-man teams. We'd have 1 or 2 guys in the team that would shoot autocockers. 3 of the guys would shoot a Planet Eclipse gun. No, tell a lie. At the time, it was what was that other gun, Johan? The shocker. Yeah, right.
Yep.
I didn't like the shockers, to be honest with you.
We had
right?
5.
Yeah, right. But the 3 of the guys out of the 5-man team, 3 or 4 guys, depending on how the field was. If it was a small field, you couldn't use as many autocockers. But on the bigger field, you could. So, but you'd always have, out of a 5-man team, you'd always have either 1 or 2 Predators shooting the autocockers. Right?
Right.
And then the rest of the guys was shooting 10.5 ramping guns. But a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah. It's one of those things where now with that 10 BPS ramp and the classic guns being as efficient and smooth as they are, there isn't that much of a disparity, although you have to shoot a mechanical gun as opposed to click a button. There is difference.
I've had this discussion with loads and loads of players, and it's something I'm quite passionate about. Is right, when you see these guys doing these comparisons, right, of a mechanical gun and an electronic gun, right?
Yeah.
And you can see these guys ripping these autocockers and ripping a CVO, ripping an M170. They're making these guns shoot 10, 12 balls a second, easy.
Yep.
But what people don't remember, they're standing there in the open with nobody firing at them.
In shooting range.
Right? You try it, and I like to consider myself a pretty good Woodsball player. My gun skills are probably above the average person's.
Yep.
Right? Really? I can't shoot my gun like that up front.
Right? Nobody can.
Right.
Nobody can. I can't shoot. If I'm standing at a tree behind a barricade with nobody shooting me, yeah, anybody can do that. But you can't do that up front with a mechanical gun where you can do that with an electronic gun.
Yep.
That's the difference.
Yep. It's true. It's true.
That's the difference. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on at the moment where there seems to be a bit of an arms race again going on, trying to make mechanical guns shoot quicker again.
Right, they can do whatever they like with guns. There's certain rules. It's 1 trigger pull, 1 ball, and no double triggers. That's it.
Yeah.
But as I said, going back to this, people don't realise, and it's something I keep on going on and on and on about. Right, the bigger the field, right, the more it's about the player.
Right.
The smaller the field, the more it comes down to the technology and the guns. Right?
Right.
If the field's bigger, the player wins the game and not the gun. If the field's smaller, the gun wins the game and not necessarily the player. So the amount of paint you can shoot is not as relevant if the fields are bigger.
Yes. Yes.
We're back in the UK, right? Because the UK Predators, we actually call it Pred syndrome, right? Every team that the UK Predators play, they play us defensively.
Yeah.
right? Very, very few teams actually come out and attack us, right? If any, right? Most of them always know that we're going to attack, and then they try to counterpunch if they deplete our numbers,
Right.
Which a lot of the times they do, because we're playing on such a small field. There's only one way we can move is forwards.
Right.
And as good as paintball players as we are, we cannot dodge a guy shooting at 10.5 ramping.
Right.
Right. So
Right.
it goes back to the game not being as skillful. But
Yep.
we recently played a Woodland Masters event where the first round of the Woodland Masters, where their fields have become. One of the guys who plays in the UK Predators, Twizzle, he owns part of the Woodland Masters. But what tended to happen there recently is the fields got smaller and smaller, and they had loads and loads more barricades, and the fields wasn't Woodsball fields, they was Speedball. Fields.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And we played the last round there, and we all shot with mechanical guns against the 10.5 ramping guns. And we come first and third in the Challengers division, right? And we was very, very successful on the bigger field. But when we played on the smaller fields, we found that we couldn't move because the amount of paint being shot at us.
Right. Right. It makes sense. And that's, again, you could choose to have one way, a proper, I'm going to define it as a proper Woodsball field.
Yeah.
And then the speedball in the woods fields. Yeah. And you can play whatever you choose to play, but I understand the brain needed in the proper Woodsball field.
As I said to you, the smaller Woodsball fields, the speedball in the woods fields are definitely going to suit the guys that play airball. The airball teams are going to do very, very well in the real small fields because that's what they do.
Yeah.
But it's not Woodsball.
Right. Right. That makes sense. Well, here we are at an hour already, and it seemed like 10 to 15 minutes. So with that, I want to thank both Johan and Marcus for joining. We're going to do this again. Kevin actually sent me or called me in between here, but I'm not going to stop you guys from talking to answer Kevin. So Kevin, when you see this, we'll get you on as soon so you can cover these as well. But I want to thank you, Marcus.
No, as I said, all it is for me, I keep on saying this, right? Paintball is my passion. I don't care if I play airball, hyperball, woodsball. It's my passion. I live for paintball. So does Johan. All I want to do is I feel a responsibility to encourage a positive game of paintball, and I wanted to do whatever I can to get people to come and play any format. Any paintball player is a friend of mine, regardless what format you play. Some of us have a preference to play one format more than others, but at the end of the day, we're all paintball players. And as I said, if any of you guys out there tune into the show, please ask your friends and ask anybody you want to come up with some questions, and I will do my best to give you the most truthful answer I can give you, no matter how controversial it's going to be.
Absolutely.
Right? Everybody stay safe. Right? What we don't want to be doing now is losing too many people to what's going on out there in the world. And please, God, when everything settles down and goes back to normal, I'm going to be seeing some of you guys right on the other end of the field. All right. God bless all of you. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Marcus. Thank you for everything. And thank you, Johan, for everything.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Take care, Kev.
Bye-bye.